Hey everybody, my name is Claire Davis. I work on the education and advocacy team here at Oregon Tilth, and today we are going to be doing a walkthrough of the Organic Fraud Prevention Plan. So the OFPP, the Organic Fraud Prevention Plan module, gets its own video because it applies to pretty much every operation and because it can come across a little bit complex. So I just want to preface this walkthrough by saying, give this module your best shot. If you have a relatively straightforward operation, you don't need to dwell on this for weeks. Just give it the old college try and we will build off of that. Note this form only applies if you are sourcing or purchasing certified organic ingredients to bring onto your operation or through your processing or handling operation. If you do not source any organic ingredients for your operation, then this form does not apply to you. So with that, let's get started and jump into the module. All right, folks, here we are in the Organic Fraud Prevention Plan. So the OFPP, this is required as part of every organic system plan since the Strengthening Organic Enforcement Rule was published in 2023. And the whole intent of Strengthening Organic Enforcement, or SOE as it's commonly called, is if we imagine the organic industry as a net, SOE is intended to just tighten the weave of that net a little more, reducing gaps so that fewer fraudulent goods can make it through to the market, which is bad for all of us in an industry that is based off consumer trust in the organic label. So what does this look like for you, the person filling out this form? Like I said, the OFPP can use a lot of official language, but it's actually quite straightforward. Pretty much what we want to know, and help you figure out if you'd like, is where in your supply chain fraud could occur, whether intentional or accidental. The core elements of an OFPP include tracing your general supply chain for organic materials, assessing and identifying risks in those supply chains, naming your prevention measures, and finally, monitoring whether your organic fraud prevention plan is effective. So again, as always, start with your operation name and the date at the top. And then for section 1, tell us who on your staff is responsible for this fraud prevention plan. Include their job title or job titles and contact information. This is anyone who's informed about the fraud prevention plan, who understands your supply chain and can speak to the control points and the fraud prevention methods. For number 2, reporting. If you witness or suspect organic fraud, indicate with these checkboxes how you will report it. You can report it to your Oregon Tilth Client Services team, the National Organic Program, etc. And then for California operations, you can also report potential fraud to the CDFA. Moving on to number 3. So this is just a filtering question to make sure that you're only filling out the OFPP if you need to be. So if you grow perennial crops or you harvest wild crops, many of these operations don't have to buy certified organic products. So if that's true for you, go ahead and skip this form. It doesn't apply. If at any point in your production process you do source and bring organic ingredients onto your operation, you are in the right place. So number 4, do you already have an OFPP for some reason? If so, just be sure to attach it. And if you do attach it, just make sure that it does include all of the information that we ask for in this form. Moving on to the supply chain map. So this can be a hand-drawn flow chart as long as it includes the information that we need. We have a helpful list, A through D, of what to include right there. And we essentially just want to be able to visualize the certified organic products coming into your operation. Note that non-organic materials and inputs do not need to be included in this flowchart or schematic, what have you. So those kinds of products, for example, would be reviewed and approved for organic use, but they're not necessarily certified themselves. So don't need to include them in your OFPP. As an example, for a crop operation, maybe you purchase certified organic seeds and seedlings, and those are your only certified organic agricultural products purchased. So those would be the only products that you need to be reflected in your supply chain. For livestock, perhaps you are sourcing certified organic livestock themselves, organic bedding if it's roughage, and organic feed, such as grain or hay. For this kind of operation, each of those certified organic products that the operation is purchasing and bringing on site should be included in their supply chain map. So there's the item itself, the supplier, and any intermediary transport that's occurring there. You only need to submit multiple supply chain maps if those supply chains themselves look very different. For example, if you're sourcing certified organic livestock from your neighbor down the road, and you're also sourcing organic feed imported from another country, those supply chain maps would look pretty different. We would like to have both of those. So critical control points, highlight those in part B here. Critical control points are specific stages in your supply chain where control measures can be applied to prevent, eliminate, or reduce the risk of organic fraud, ensuring the integrity and quality of your organic product. So let's move through an example. If you are a livestock operation and you source organic hay from a certified organic farm 2 hours north, you would include that product and that supplier in your supply chain diagram. The control point there would be verifying that the operation truly does have an organic certificate for the hay they're providing. Then maybe they truck it down for you. You want to think about that transport step now. Are they using a truck that is only ever used for organic goods? Or maybe are they a split operation, growing both organic and non-organic hay, and that truck carries both organic and non-organic products? If so, you would want a letter or a clean transport affidavit from the company stating that the truck is thoroughly cleaned before transporting any organic goods. Finally, when the item gets to your farm, you want to keep the receipt for the hay and the bill of lading on hand as part of your own record-keeping system for traceability's sake. And then same goes for your certified organic bedding or any certified organic animals that you purchase. You want to trace those products' supply chains and identify the key points where more confidence in organic integrity can be injected into that supply chain system. So we're all trying to make sure that that organic net is nice and tight. Then for number 2, let us know how you approve and keep track of your organic suppliers via these easy checkboxes. So examples include checking the supplier's certificates are up to date, their organic certificates, listing all of your suppliers in your OSP. Maybe you do an annual visit, an in-person visit to each of your suppliers, or maybe you have your own methods that aren't listed here. And if so, please describe them. Just give us an idea of how you keep track of your organic suppliers. The next section, section 3, is all about assessing vulnerability. So that's just identifying in your supply chain the critical control points where fraud is most likely to occur. So you can use this table here to fill in kind of those critical control points, the prevention and mitigation strategies, and the monitoring practices. So continuing with our same example, our critical control point would be that our supplier for hay is a split operation. They produce both organic and non-organic products. Our fraud prevention or mitigation strategy is to make sure that organic hay is listed on their current certificate, and our monitoring practice could be that we check the organic integrity database annually to make sure that the organic products that we buy each year remain certified year to year. We're going to skip down to section 5, which is all about monitoring. Each operation must outline how they intend to monitor the effectiveness of their own OFPP. So some folks do internal audits of their operations. Maybe you do a mock traceability audit. Do you have insight into the supply chain of a randomly selected input? Some regularly check through their records to make sure everything that's needed is there. Some places have a dedicated employee or multiple for whom it's part of their role to oversee that the OFPP is in place and successful. Lastly, tell us how often you are or plan to evaluate and update your OFPP. And with that, folks, that will do it for the Organic Fraud Prevention Plan module. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this walkthrough of the OFPP module. I know that this part of the OSP can feel a little bit daunting, but just remember, we have a whole team of folks here at Oregon Tilth who are willing and happy to help you develop your OFPP and make sure that you get all the right details down. So give it your best shot, and as always, feel free to reach out to us here at Tilth if any questions come up. See you all next time.